Hey everyone, welcome back to our next weekly community AMA. My name is Alcatraz. I'm a lead designer on the Rainy the Lords of Light project, and I clearly have the YouTube link open somewhere. Where do I have that open? Because I can hear myself speaking. I'll have to find that somewhere.
How many
Oh,
tabs you got, mate?
I've way too many tabs open. It was Twitter that I had open and it just started auto playing. So yeah, hope everyone's having a good week so far. I'll let my fellow co-hosts introduce themselves, and then we'll get stuck straight into the good stuff.
Sure, I'll jump in. Hey everyone, Gday from Sydney. Keen to be joining you again for the AMA. Apologies I couldn't make it to the last one, but I heard rave reviews from Florian that I think Alcatraz did a great job with Drazni Bar. Regardless, we are super pumped to talk about all the things that we've got coming up over the next couple of weeks, between the card backdrop and the next tournament. And yeah, it was exciting to see the tournament that happened just over the weekend where Huncho is reigning supreme and defending his title. So let's see if someone can dethrone him. But I'll throw it over to Drasnibar to say a quick hi as well.
G'day guys, Drasniba. I'm a community member and admin mod in the Discord. I'm just here to sort of coordinate and ask the questions so the guys can focus on giving you all the answers. Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, as Arkin mentioned, yeah, a huge congratulations to Huncho, who is our, first reigning, defending back-to-back RTLOL tournament champion. Took down a field of, I believe it was 20 players in December, and then a much larger field of 28 players this past weekend. And yeah, fought through a very tough field, and was able to very convincingly sweep both his semi-final and grand final matches, and yeah, take out the tournament. We do have all the footage from the semi-final and the finals. We're getting that all edited up, and that will be up on YouTube fairly soon, as soon as we can get that all put together. But yeah, definitely a big congratulations to everyone who joined us. Obviously, we had prizes going out for the top 8 players. A big thanks as well to our friends at Blue Mint, who graciously added $100 in Avalanche into the prize pool as well. So our top players will be walking away not only with a variety of packs, and some will obviously, our top 8 will receive copies of the Year of the Rabbit NFT card. But yeah, in addition to all that, they'll also, the top 4 players will get some Avalanche added to their account. We are doing a lucky door prize, which will be some packs or some cards, as well as some Avalanche. The website I had organized to do the raffle, the lucky door thing, has just literally crashed on me. I'm hitting F5 and nothing's happening. So what we'll do with that is I'll actually I'll record it offline, and I'll upload the video of that and the results to Twitter later on this afternoon, so in the next few hours, Australian time. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone who joined us for the tournament. And yeah, a big thanks obviously to Blue Mint for hosting the event. And yeah, we're obviously very, very excited to be partnering with Blue Mint for these. And we can also talk about the next tournaments that we have coming up with them as well. I'm going to bring up our Medium as well. So if you haven't seen our Medium before, please check it out. It's rainicoin.medium.com. That's where we do drop a lot of interesting tidbits about what's happening in our community. And we did announce that the next tournament will be in February. I'm sure we announced that on the Medium, didn't we? Maybe we didn't.
I think we did. I don't know whether it was this one or the other one. We had a
I might
very
one of the other
busy
ones.
week with
Yeah,
3 mediums. So
yeah.
yeah, it's in one of the.
So yeah, very excited to announce that our next tournament will be on the 11th of February. That's the 11th of February US time. We haven't quite locked in the exact start time just yet. We'll be putting out there as soon as we have that confirmed. Just basically got to chat with our friends at Blue Mint to make sure we're not overlapping with any of the other tournaments that they're running. So if you do enjoy playing, tournaments and stuff like that, they do obviously support a bunch of other games outside of RTLOL. MetaOps in particular, I know, is on there doing a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, definitely check that out. But yeah, 11th of February, and probably the biggest announcement for this as well is the prize that our winner, who may or may not be Huncho, we don't know yet, will be walking away with on the 11th of January. And Arkin, I'd love if you want to make the announcement and tell everyone what they'll be playing for.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a very big one, donated from our good friend and team member Icebags of the Kampai Pandas fame. Icebags has actually generously donated a Kampai Panda NFT. So if you've checked it out in OpenSea lately, I can see Alcatraz has just brought that up. It looks like the current floor price is 2.25 Ethereum. So if you do a little bit of quick math, at a 1567 US per Ethereum price, 2.25. What do we got? 1556 times 2.25. Yeah, you're looking at about $3,500 just for that number one prize in one NFT. So that's super generous of Icebags. He's not just donating the Kampai Pandas NFT, but also the Kampai Pandas donating a bunch of Panda points, which are their new currency that can be used for a whole bunch of stuff. You can gamble with them on mini games. You can potentially buy more pandas, I believe. There's a link to what they do in the Medium where we've announced the prize pool. And there will also be some prize packs put up by us. So this is one you really do not want to miss. I would say if there's ever a time to do some grinding and get some Huncho meta breaking decks ready, now would be the time to do it because that's quite a big prize pool. If you look at the expected return, we had 28 contestants last time. Even just the Kampai NFT itself, your expected return is $125 there. 28 participants, $3,500 for first prize, that alone, plus all the packs, plus all the points. That's a pretty good payday to jump on and play some RTLOL, which is a fun game in and of itself. So highly recommend jumping on, doing some preparation, get your decks ready. You do need 2 unique decks. Tell your friends about it. So if you can't win, then maybe they can instead. And hope to see as many of you guys there as possible.
I know the really cool thing as well, if you are looking to prepare for this event, like this is the big one. Like we've had 2 community tournaments that have been really fun. Obviously this most recent one had around $1,000 in total prizes up for grabs. But yeah, as I'm hoping you can all see, we're definitely stepping up our game and taking it to the next level. We do have a really active community on Telegram of players who are all involved in the alpha. Just jump into the Rainy chat and ask about that. There's always people looking to practice and looking to play the game. So yeah, there's never been a better time to get into RTLOL and get some practice in and play some games. And probably also just really worth mentioning as well. I know I mentioned this on some of the tweets that we sent out before the community event. Just a couple of common questions that we were getting in the lead up to the tournament that we ran last weekend. Do you need to own any NFTs or the Rainy token to participate? No, you don't. It is completely free to play. You don't need to own the NFTs. You don't need to own any tokens. It's free to play, and theoretically, you can come along, get added into the open beta. We'll whitelist your account, and you could walk away with a Kampai Panda NFT if Huncho lets you. Is obviously the caveat to that. Because I have no doubt that I'm assuming here that Huncho will be playing in this tournament, and from what we've seen, he's definitely a very fierce competitor. Cool. The other thing that we wanted to just quickly show off a bit before we jump into some of the questions, and this obviously is very related to the question that Michael has just asked in the YouTube chat as well. Is just around the Seven Deadly Sins set, which is coming up very, very soon. So yeah, the release for that will be the 14th of February. The set's called Seven Deadly Sins. Having it come out on Valentine's Day seems to make a lot of sense to us. Obviously, we released the 2 cards there that you can see on last week's AMA, Lust and Chastity. Very interesting cards there with some very cool mechanics. That also ties in really nicely with some cards that have been released already. And I mean, Chastity itself has actually been designed with some of the cards in set 3 in mind as well, which yeah, definitely a very cool thing to have cards coming out that will obviously interact really well with existing cards, as well as future cards in future sets. We have shown off a couple of the cards that will be coming in future sets. Oh, sorry, in Seven Deadly Sins. So I wanted to just quickly show those off here as well. These were shown off in a mixture of our Telegram, Discord, and Twitter communities pages. So if you're not in any, or you're not following us on Twitter, or you're not in our Discord or in our Telegram, please feel free to join. Because yeah, we do give our community lots of sneak peeks for upcoming stuff. This big boy here, Gluttony. It sounds really weird. This is probably one of the cards in this set that I'm most excited to see how the community manages to use and abuse it. I know, Arkin, you've mentioned that you're a bit worried about this one. But yeah, this is the meatball. This is a 100 attack, 100 health, green minion. It does cost 5 green gems to play it. So if you are looking to play this card, you do have to make a very heavy investment in green. It wouldn't surprise me after this card comes out to see Tree Mage, the NFT, spike a bit in price for that one. Maybe Money Print as well, who knows? But yeah, definitely a card that I'm very curious to see what the community does with it and how it goes in competitive play. Then we have this one, Gratitude. This is the purple rare spell in the Seven Deadly Sin set. And this one is basically an homage to everyone who has played TCGs that have combo decks. So if you've played a bit of Yu-Gi-Oh in the past, if you've played Magic the Gathering at certain times, if you're a rogue player in Hearthstone and you believe that Shadow Step should be banned, then yeah, I think Gratitude will be a very interesting card for you. So until the end of your turn, your minions are banished after attacking an enemy minion. So important to note that if a minion attacks and dies, it won't get banished. It will actually just die. But theoretically, if you had, say, I don't know, something that had, say, Pumped in your hand with enough hit points, then theoretically you might be able to use this to completely clear the opponent's board. If you had something that was both Pumped and had Overkill, yeah, maybe something like Lust and Chastity. There is a very real world where you could drop this card and potentially kill your opponent. So yeah, definitely one that we're very interested to see how it shakes up the meta. And yeah, obviously this is giving a bit of a boost to some kinds of banish style mechanics. But there are other cards not yet revealed in the sets that will have a very negative effect on banish as well. So we're definitely keen to see how the community responds to this one, and how it sort of shakes up the metagame, and see where this one goes as well. And then we have this one, Temperance. So this one's come out in dribs and drabs. Actually, I was playing around with our Telegram community, and I released part of the wording of this card to them without showing them the rest, and was very, very interesting response. So Temperance, this is the legendary green spell. So obviously only one in your deck of this one. Restores your hero to full health, but you cannot stake cards for the remainder of the game. I know our art team is actually doing some really cool stuff with this at the moment, where your actual staking well will like crumble and collapse like on the actual board. So you'll be able to very easily see if you or your opponent has played Temperance. But yeah, this will be, again, 5 green gems. So you know, if you're thinking that you want to play a fully green deck after Seven Deadly Sins comes out, yeah, you've definitely got an idea of some of the tools that you have at your disposal to make that deck work at the moment. But yeah, definitely interested to see what the community manages to do with this. Obviously, a lot more cards still to be revealed in Seven Deadly Sins. If you're looking to just get an idea of what those cards might be before the actual set release on the 14th, the best bet will be to follow our Twitter, which is there at the bottom of the screen at the moment, and yeah, jump in and join our communities on Telegram and Discord. All the links for all of our socials and stuff like that. The safest way to find those links would be to go to our Twitter, and there's a collection of links there at the top that you can click on. So I'm curious, Arkan and Draz, out of those cards, are there any that really excite you or have got you a bit worried about facing them on the battlefield?
Mate, I like the big green guy personally. I've got to get myself up to speed with the actual the game itself. I'm a bit of a very big noob with regard to the TCGs, but I'm going to do some serious study before the Canpai tournament, see if I can get in there and give someone a bit of a game.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing if there's any good combo decks that come about from the repeated pumped into banish mechanic. Because bear in mind, there has been a lot of repeatable pumped and a repeatable banish in the game to date, but usually only when you occupy the season platform. So this being a spell, the purple spell with 6 gem cost total, you can combine that with When Lambo and open up some pretty interesting combinations. So I'm really keen to see if people come up with some creative decks that take full advantage of that one.
And yeah, like I said, obviously we do a lot of testing internally of new cards and new mechanics. If after Seven Deadly Sins comes out, we realize that something is a little unbalanced, maybe we'll have to do a bit of a balance patch in there. But yeah, generally speaking, we're pretty confident that these cards will come out. They'll be in a similar power level to cards that you already have access to from, say, the Genesis set. Our goal, obviously, as we've said on previous AMAs, is that we don't want to have power creep within our game that makes cards you already own become invalid and need you to keep buying new cards. Our goal is obviously to embrace the cards that we already have, but to find new and interesting mechanics and sort of push the envelope in that sort of way, where we're just giving you more variety and more choice in the decks you choose to play and how you choose to pilot them. Cool. So yeah, we did have Draz, do you want to start with the questions that you've got, or do you want to jump into the YouTube questions?
There's only one in the YouTube, I think, isn't it? The one from Michael there that I can see. You see some more?
So far, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll jump into the ones that I've just found in the chat, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So just starting with Zoom VA, Chad Raini.eth. He asked questions. This was last week, but I forgot to put them in. He says, I know about photons, but can we buy the cards from the second drop using X photons?
I'll take that one. X Photon will not be usable directly. The sole purpose of X Photon is to allow you to kind of bank some Photon in advance before we launch the Photon token. So once we launch Photon at the full game launch, which we're looking for Q2 this year, you will be able to redeem your X Photon for vested Photon. So you'll basically be able to trade any amount of X Photon that you've accumulated in for a number of Photon that will vest over a period of time. That will prevent a glut of Photon coming onto the market so that we can ensure the Photon token price is still supported quite well. But it'll still give you an upside so that all the people who have been supporting us for a long time get some advantages in the game and can buy some cool stuff with the Photon. But the short answer is no, you will not be able to use X Photon to buy anything. The sole purpose is to trade them in for vested Photon.
And photons,
I know I've mentioned. Also, I know I've mentioned on previous AMAs as well that the rate that you'll be able to redeem those vested photons, we're going to work very closely with the obviously the game design team when we're working that out. Because yeah, obviously we want to make sure that if you are one of the people sitting on X Photon, We want to make sure you've got the ability to use Photon to redeem and spend on anything you may want to buy within the game itself. But yeah, obviously trying to balance that out, whereas we don't want to just flood the market and have the token just go to zero basically.
My understanding is that the photons will be a fixed supply. How do you think that far ahead to know what sort of volume of supply to actually provide?
I drink a lot of coffee and I don't sleep very much.
You just gotta, yeah, that's right.
But no,
Because it's like
the series. Oh, sorry.
500 million Rainy, but I mean, any idea of the actual quantity of photons that'll be out there in the end, or that's just too early to tell at the moment?
Yeah, no. So we're looking at, I mean, it's an arbitrary figure in any case, but the total supply is going to be similar to Rainy, but without the burn. So we're looking at 1 billion photon maximum. But the photon itself is going to be emitted over a long period of time. We're looking to make this game last. I mean, Alcatraz has said it many times in the past. 10 years plus, if possible. We're not just looking to turn this into a short little cash grab where we see a photon spike in price up and then a tank down to the depths of an abyss. So yeah, a large number of those photon will be held back to be emitted very gradually over a long period of time. But yeah, the total supply we're looking at now is 1 billion. Yeah, and really what you'd want to be focusing on is the like fully diluted valuation and the circulating number of photon and the market cap. So those are probably the more important benchmarks than just the nominal number of tokens that exist.
Yeah, we're definitely. I mean, the great thing about working in the Web3 space is we do have a lot of. I mean, our team itself has a lot of experience in free to play mobile and designing game economies and such. So there's a lot of experience there that we're sort of leaning on. We can also look at tokens that have existed in the past that maybe weren't designed as optimally as they potentially could have been. I don't want to drop any names SLP, but we're definitely going to try to avoid some of the mistakes that some other projects may have made through greediness or inexperience, to make sure that, yeah, as Arkan said, like our team is very committed to doing everything we can to make this a 10-year game. I want to be sitting here in the year 2033 telling you all about set number 80 that we're coming out with, and how the cards in set 80 will still work with Elon, will still work with When Lambo, will still work with Meme Coin Mania. Yeah, all the cards from way back in the Genesis set.
Nice. Big brains. That's good. Just another question from Chad Rainy.eth. The team was telling about land we can own in the Rainiverse a few months back. Please explain a little bit more about that, how RTLOL will play an important role in the Rainiverse in reference to the land that we can own.
Sure, I'll take this one. So basically, our principal focus now is on the trading card game, but we have done a lot of work towards building out the metaverse / overworld game behind the scenes as well. Realistically, so that we can ensure that's fully fleshed out and tested and ready for release, it will be coming a bit after the trading card game. But land ownership is one aspect of the overworld game. So the main overworld game revolves around questing. You can either go on combat quests to gain experience and items that you can build into equipment to improve your characters. You can level up. You can have a band of heroes. You can send, and there's an amount of stamina that you can use each day that refreshes. You can also send them off to I guess, work in professions. So they'll have randomly assigned traits that they're better or worse at. So it could be, mining for gemstones, or it could be going off and, as an arborist to cut down trees to build timber. You can craft things. But then as that world evolves, you'll see that the game initially centers around a neutral town in the middle of the Chromatica, the land. But as you look out, in each of the 7 directions, there is a different type of terrain. And as you go further and further out towards that terrain, you end up towards the stronghold of the Lord of Light. So just to give you an example, the Red Lord of Light is obviously has a fortress that's surrounded by volcanoes and ash and magma. The Blue Lord of Light is kind of like in an Arctic isolated period surrounded by ocean. You've got the Orange Lord of Light, which is deep in the desert, and all of the strongholds are on the furthest points away from the neutral town in their territories. But on the edges where their territories meet, you'll be able to battle and kind of capture land that's controlled by another Lord of Light, ostensibly, and use that land for as long as you hold it to generate resources or to rent it out to other heroes to quest on and gain resources. That's kind of like the medium to long term, I guess, game that we're building towards in the metaverse. I guess that's probably the extent of the details I can give at this point because it's all quite high level. But yeah, you'll be seeing more details of that come out in the months to come. However, I will again say that the main priority at this point is the TCG. We really want that to be our flagship game, highly competitive, balanced, and really immersive, and try to make it as good as possible by the time we get it to full game launch, which is just around the corner.
Yeah, it's definitely a really high priority for us to make sure that everyone who plays RTLOL has a really epic experience. So that's definitely something that as the whole team is sort of driving towards. But yeah, obviously as we get the TCG up and running, as we get other, the overworld and potentially even other experiences all tied together through the Rainiverse, yeah, you're going to definitely have a lot of interoperability between the different games. And potentially the NFTs and tokens that you use between them as well.
That's excellent. The as you sort of, I suppose, ramp up, I suppose, towards the beta release, at what sort of point are you going to bring on Twitch streamers and people like that to really push? I mean, obviously, you're just working out the bugs and ironing out things in the tournaments at the moment, but at some point, you're talking about streaming with high-profile sort of streamers. When's that going to come around?
Yeah, absolutely. So my short answer is very, very soon, but let me expand on that just a little bit. So obviously, one of the big focuses that the team has been pushing towards at the moment is moving from the current WebGL version of the game to a standalone build. So that will be released for both Windows and Mac machines. So, and some of our community members have actually been helping us out and testing an early version of that standalone build. And I know at least one of our community members has been talking about it in our Telegram, where when they play the game on web, they're getting 30 frames a second sort of thing, and had to turn some settings down to like medium. Whereas now they're getting like a nice buttery smooth 144 frames a second on ultra. So yeah, it's a drastic improvement to the experience that obviously is available in the game. So it's obviously why it's been such a high priority for us. The main reason we haven't looked at doing a huge amount of YouTube, Twitch, or other streamer content is we want to make sure that when we are putting content out there for influencers and other streamers to be working with, that they've got the best experience and they do have the best version of the game to be doing that with. And I mean, if you've worked with OBS before, trying to get OBS to capture web compared to capturing like a proper standalone window is a huge difference in the quality and the sort of experience you can put out there for your users or for your viewers, I should say. So that's definitely expect to see more of that ramping up from that point forward once we're live on standalone. And one of the partners, I'm not sure, Arkan, are we talking about that yet? The partner that we're talking to for standalone, or is that we're keeping that to ourselves for now?
Which one? We've got a
Not
couple now.
not the one we
Yeah.
met with today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can announce the
Okay,
one that's pending because like
cool.
as an incentive to show up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of gave a little hint that maybe there's another one too. But yeah, lots of epic things in store as we move forward. But yeah, the the partner we can talk about that we are working with, their name is Elixir. So they basically run a storefront for games that are focused on Web3. So we will be partnering with them for the RTLOL standalone launch. So you'll be able to just download the Elixir clients, make an account. Their like sign up flow is super simple. Like everything about what they've built is amazing. And yeah, you'll literally be able to just click the button that says Raini the Lords of Light and bang, off you go. No need to like link wallets anymore. No need to fiddle around with bits and pieces and make sure you're using the right web browser. It will just work. One of the cool things with Elixir as well, though, is they have partnerships themselves with a bunch of really high-profile streamers and influencers that focus on games in the Web3 space. So we're very excited to not only work with Elixir as our platform to help us get the standalone build to all of our players and out to our community, but also to work with them and the network of streamers and influencers that they have within their ecosystem to get as many people playing what I genuinely believe to be the best digital TCG on the market today.
Yeah, not to mention the bounty possibilities. So we've already got the bounty contributed to basically encourage some streamers to jump on and start streaming the game as soon as we are listed on the Elixir storefront and able to be downloaded in standalone version. So yeah, the crux of it is very soon you'll be seeing some streamers playing RTLOL and hopefully having an awesome time and expanding our audience and player base.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right. Crypto Cloaker asked this one, and you sort of answered it in the Telegram, but I just thought it'd be interesting just to touch on it. He said, will there be an API for game stats? And I think you said that was an interesting concept, or you're going to be looking at that for sure.
Yeah, I don't want to say like a yes or no at this stage because it's something we are thinking of doing, but if it does happen, it will be post-launch, so it won't be anytime soon. But obviously, with our partnership with Bluemint, we're looking into ways that we can improve the player experience that our players have when we are hosting tournaments with them. Obviously, one of the things that we would like to have is that when you do play a tournament match, that it will automatically like upload the results securely to the Bluemint server to update the tournament bracket and such. So yeah, part of that could potentially be a system where you have like either like player profiles that are publicly visible or match results or something along those lines. So yeah, definitely something we're thinking along the lines of, but yeah, don't expect to see anything this side of open launch.
Sure. Malvolio, the Rainiverse bartenders, asked just a couple of questions. First one, I suppose, if the cards are reworked, will the text on the card art stay the same and only change in-game? Or he said, did he misunderstand how the cards are presented outside the game client?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we have what two different versions of card art, I guess you would say. We have what we call like the NFT art, which is if you look at or I mean if you go on JPEGs right now and have a look at like the Year of the Rabbit card, that is what we refer to as our NFT art. So that doesn't actually contain the game mechanics on the card per se. Actually, I think I can pull that up on screen and show it while I talk. That just more has the actual information around the card itself, the color, the edition. So obviously important to know how many in total could be minted and the rarity of the card as well. So that particular art, generally speaking, won't need to change. I'm not going to say it will never change. We might need to rename a card in the future, or maybe we might misprint and get the rarity wrong or something like that. But generally speaking, that art will stay the same regardless. We have the ability through our backend, like our platform team, to update that information. Like if we ever do need to update the art, when we push out that update, it will change on OpenSea and JPEGs automatically. Case in point, we actually touched up this art, I believe, yesterday. This is actually the old version. The new one is live on both those platforms. It just, like I said, we have the ability to basically get them just to refresh the metadata and update the art for us automatically. But if we're talking more like the art that you see there on screen, which is obviously the in-game art version of what we have, then yeah, like there may be situations where we need to balance or change what cards potentially do. So that would be what you see there. We may, theoretically, we may decide we need to increase chastity to have cost 2 red and 2 colorless, for example. So we would change that, and that would obviously change in the game client. But that's not going to affect the NFT art, which is obviously designed separately, deliberately, so that we don't have to. If we do make a change within the game itself, it doesn't automatically. We don't have to change the NFT versions and vice versa.
Cool. Just from Malvolio again, do you have any spoilers for upcoming Raini token utilities?
We do actually, and that actually ties really nicely into the question that Michael has asked in the YouTube chat about how we are going to be distributing the cards in Seven Deadly Sins. So obviously, one of the big benefits to anyone who owns the Raini token is the ability on our website to stake it or use it in a liquidity pool to either earn rainbows or unicorns. So the same as what we did with the Genesis set, you'll be able to use those rainbows and unicorns to acquire cards or packs, I should say, from the Seven Deadly Sins set. So they will be released in packs. So at this stage, the plan is that packs will contain 3 cards. We'll have a chance at having rares, legendaries, and mythics in every pack. But yeah, Arkin, did you want to touch on how we're actually planning on releasing the packs for the people who currently own rainbows and unicorns?
Yeah, sure. So, not sure if everyone has seen the medium from a few months ago where we just announced a bit of a change for packs specifically with rainbows and unicorns. But essentially, we're going to be running rolling simultaneous auctions and raffles. So, from the date the drop goes live, there will be an Ethereum unicorn raffle, an Ethereum unicorn auction, an Ethereum rainbow raffle, an Ethereum rainbow auction, and all the same on BSC as well. The plan at this stage is to have each of them run for 20 hours so that the end date is kind of staggered to meet a whole bunch of different time zones. And the way it'll work is if you want to participate in the raffle, you just buy a ticket. You'll need to do one transaction to basically convert your on-chain points to server-side points, and then you can buy as many raffles or bid on as many auctions as possible, get them refunded without having to pay gas over and over again until you actually are successful in winning a pack, and then you'll be able to mint it. The reason we've moved it to this way is just because the Rainbow and Unicorn system went online quite a long time ago. We're coming up to over a year and a half. So there has been some inflation in the system, and we thought it would be fairest to have the free market decide the value of the packs. We still will have a pretty generous allocation to Rainbow and Unicorn packs, which you won't have to be paying the public mint cost of the public packs to acquire. Unicorn minting will be free as always. I believe rainbow minting will have a small mint fee. It's about 15% of what it would be for public. And so the auctions allow us to have the free market determine the value of the packs. The raffles allow smaller Rainy holders or newer entrants to the system to still have a decent chance of purchasing a pack. That will be the way for the Seven Deadly Sins drop. That will be the way for the second edition pack drop, which at this stage is likely going to be around April or May. And then in between, we are still planning the Arthron NFT drop in March, which is going to be just like the old way where you can, if you have enough rainbows or unicorns, you can just buy the NFT outright, but there will be wallet limits. So basically, within the next few months, everyone's going to have 3 different drops that they'll be able to spend their rainbows and unicorns on. 2 back drops and a normal NFT drop. That's the primary value for Rainy at this stage. We'll be activating additional value for the Rainy token once we launch the full RTLOL game, which is where you'll be able to earn some Photon using the Rainy token as well. And yeah, there's going to be a number of additional drops along the way. So that's basically what we're looking at for Rainy at this stage. We also intend to, any full games we release under the Rainy Studios banner, always strive to, I guess, have some value accrual flow back to the Rainy token holders to make sure there's always upside for those supporters who have held Rainy tokens from the early days and continue to do so moving forward.
Yeah, okay, cool. There's definitely some people out there with a lot of rainbows, that's for sure.
Yep. So
Brad,
yeah, definitely be
Yep.
fun to see those people with a lot to jump in on the raffles, and obviously you can buy as many tickets as you like on each of the raffles. But also, like, I mean, I know myself personally. I've been chatting with some community members who are really keen around the auction style system, because they're hoping to try to snipe some of the auctions really cheap. Because obviously, being every 20 hours, some of them will end, in the middle of the night for some of our community members. So yeah, there's definitely some opportunities there to try and snipe some nice cheap packs of Seven Deadly Sins.
Awesome. I think there's really only one more question. Oh, sorry, two, I suppose. The one that's in the YouTube there at the moment about how you're going to prevent the dump of Photon on the release date. That's obviously to do with vesting.
Yeah, correct. So there's not going to be any substantial amount of Photon, if any at all, that will just become available on the release date. X Photon, you'll be able to trade in for Photon, but that's going to take a while for it all to vest. Yeah, so that there shouldn't be a lot of sell side pressure for Photon on day one. We're buying more than enough time for people to get engaged in the ecosystem in the game and find all the cool ways to spend Photon to boost your character and give you advantages and everything.
Yeah, that's definitely the big thing to keep in mind as well. Like, unlike maybe some other tokens, like, we are really designing Photon to have a lot of value within the actual, like, RTLOL game itself. So, I mean, it's Econ 101. If demand outstrips supply, then that helps us maintain a good positive value on the actual token itself. But yeah, definitely expect from day one to see lots of ways to use Photon to improve the experience that you have within RTLOL.
Okay, no worries. So for those of us that I suppose have been staking for a while and we've got a bunch of X Photon, the Photon I imagine is going to be used in the game. If our X Photons turn into Photons but they're vested for a period of time, we're not going to be able to use those Photons in the game. We have to wait for a period of time before we can use them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
obviously. Oh, sorry, you go. I can, sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah, so it's not that they will, or it's not that they're going to be cliffed and you have to wait however many months and then you'll get access to them all at once. They will start vesting from day one. So you'll get access to some of the Photon entitlement within like a few minutes of redeeming the X Photon. And then it's just going to be a linear vest over the full period from there. So, every couple of days you can check in, you'll have had a bunch more Photon that will have vested and you'll be able to use that. It just means you won't be able to use the whole amount up front.
Okay, no, that's sweet. Yeah, so we can obviously use them in the game if we're playing the game and things like that, which is great.
Yeah, and we'll definitely make sure that on day one, like, if let's say, for example, the cheapest thing you can buy in the game is, I don't want to throw a number out there because people are going to assume this is the number, but like, let's say it's 100 Photon to buy something within the game. We'll obviously make sure that everyone has at least 100 Photon available to them from like the vesting X Photons on day one. And yeah, like, obviously part of my job specifically in terms of game design is I've got to come up with lots of cool, interesting, fun things that people want to spend their Photon on within the game. So that, yeah, obviously there'll be people that will have X Photon vesting and will be able to redeem some of that on day one and start play and use it straight away. But we're hoping that especially as we do things with streamers and influencers, and we do move to a more open full launch, and we have a much larger influx of new players coming into our community, that there'll also be demand from those new people who haven't had the opportunity to earn X Photon up to this point, or earn Photon, I should say. Will obviously want to be able to buy the same things as well. There will be things within the game that are exclusive to Photon, so that should also create some demand there as well.
Okay, sweet. There's only really one question left, and that was you sort of answered Telegram as well, but from Brad Weeks. He just asked, will there be an option to play a fast game and a slow game with regard to the timer?
Yeah, it's something that the team is definitely looking at the moment. We deliberately haven't made any changes to the turn timer until after we get the standalone build out to all of our alpha community. Because what you will generally find is when you are on standalone compared to being on web, because the client itself runs that much quicker, smoother, more responsive, it actually feels like you have much more time than what it currently does now on web. But yeah, we're definitely looking at that. My hope would be that we don't fragment the community by having fast games or slow games. I would hope that we can find that design balance between how much time we need to give players per turn. There's some interesting ways that we potentially can, because the balancing act here is you don't want to have a situation where your opponent, like to use Hearthstone parlance, like ropes every turn, and just waste time when there's literally nothing for him to do. So you'll notice at the moment within RTLOL, the amount of time you get per turn actually increases as the game goes on and on. Like turn one, we don't give you much time because 99% of the time you're going to stake a card and press the end turn button. There's very little thinking that generally will need to happen on turn one. But obviously, as the game progresses, you need that time to make the more involved decisions.
This
There's
is also
potentially
part of the reason why we made the design decision to we were always already looking at ways that we could add some relevancy to the hero selection in the game. But yeah, one of Alcatraz's ideas was to have the hero dictate the starting gem color. So start with an additional gem. Went a long way to actually speed up the game because it basically cut out the first turn where we were finding that there was very little interactivity. Most of the games you would stake a card and then end turn, and then you'd have to wait for your opponent to do that. So it adds a bit of like gameplay versatility in making the hero choice relevant, but it also speeds up the game. The other major thing that we did there was the input queuing, where this was a big game changer, I think, where if you are still waiting for an animation to play, you can queue up all your other actions and it'll just play sequentially. That really speeds up the game and prevents a lot of frustration and a lot of roping. So we're pretty happy with where the game timer is now, but it's something we're monitoring quite closely. And from a design perspective, adding some cards that kind of are a bit more aggressive and speed up the game if the meta is a bit too slow and controlly, are probably more the route we'd like to take than, as Alcatraz said, fragmenting the game into multiple game modes where it's just harder to find an opponent then until we reach a critical mass of players. But that's definitely something we'd consider down the track. We're pretty keen to add a whole bunch more game modes in once we have heaps and heaps of players so that everyone can play versus someone.
It's also worth keeping in mind, I mentioned this in the Telegram chat as well, that if you are just in our practice mode, you can turn off the turn timer completely. So if you are like trying out a new deck or something, or want to really test something out and be able to have that time to think through every decision, that can be a great place to do that as well. Just throw some different decks in there and sort of play through solitaire style.
That's it, guys. That's all for the questions. So yeah,
cool. We might wrap it up there, and we can actually have an AMA that's less than an hour for once, which would be nice. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone who does tune in and listen to these. I know we have some people listening in live. And I know a bunch of our community members do listen to these on YouTube when they have the time. But yeah, have a great week, everyone. And we'll catch you back here again next week for our next community AMA.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dres, for the questions. Cheers,
Yeah,
guys.
no worries. See you guys.
Catches.